Yitavach, I'm now going to record Daf Tzadik Gimel. We're up to Tzadik Beis and Beis, 4 lines from the bottom, and we learned a three-way machlokes between Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Shimon. According to Rabbi Meir, whenever two people do a malacha, they're still chayiv, even though two people did it. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it depends. If it's zeh yochel v'zeh yochel, if each one could have done it themselves, they're poter. But if each one couldn't have done it themselves, they're chayiv. And according to Reb Shimon, even when each one could have done it himself, zeh yochel v'zeh yochel, they're also poter. So Gemara asks Menani Mili, from where do we know the source of all these opinions? The Tanur Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught in the Braisa, the Torah says regarding chatas ba'asayisa. When there's a person who does it, ha'isa eskula, v'le'oisa es miksasa. Only if a person does the entire aveira, not if he does part of it. Ketzad, for instance, shnayim shoyu oichazin b'malgez. Two people are holding a pitchfork, where one of them could have handled it himself. V'loigazin, and using the pitchfork, gathering together grain. So that's called ma'amer. Or they're holding b'charkar, they're holding a piece of wood, which weavers use, v'shoiftin, and they use the two of them are holding it, using to separate the threads on the loom, which is the malacha of Mesach, the told of Mesach. Or two of them are holding b'kulmas, a quill, v'kaisvin, a writing. Or two of them are holding b'kana, a reed, v'yitziyah l'shus rabim, taking it out l'shus rabim. Yochel, I would think, yuchayavin, they would be chayiv. See, in that case, each one could have done it himself. Talmud Lamer, it says ba'asayisa, when you do it, ha'isa is kula, if you do the whole malacha yourself, and not if you're doing only part of the malacha. And each one could have done the malacha himself. What about the igul shel dveila? What if the two of them are carrying out a large wheel of pressed figs, which is very heavy, and together they carried l'shusarabim, b'kaira, if two of them are holding a beam, which is too heavy for one person to carry himself. So Rabbi Yehuda says, if one of them couldn't have taken it out himself, but that's why it took two, then chayavin. But if each one could have taken it himself, which is called zeh yachol v'zeh yachol, then they are pturin. Rabbi Shimon says, even if each one couldn't have done it himself, and the two of them carried it out, they're still ptur in their potter. That's why it says ba'asayisa yochid shasa chayiv. If one does it alone, he's chayiv. But shnaim shasu, if two people do it, they're pturin. So yesterday we discussed the machlokes between Rashi and the Ritva. Rashi explains the reason why zeh yochel v'zeh yochel their potter is because it's shaloi kedarko. It's unusual. Something that one person can carry out, like a loaf, and two people carry it out, it's unusual. Yet, if it's a heavy table, that each one couldn't carry it by himself, so then that's considered urche, that's considered normal, therefore they're chayiv. The Ritva has a different svara. He says, when it's zeh in a yochel, v'zeh in a yochel, the reason why they're chayiv, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is because without each one, the malacha couldn't have been done. So therefore, each one is chayiv because it's because of you that the malacha got done. Whereas if it's zeh yochel v'zeh yochel, each one can point to the other one and say, the malacha was done by him. I was just misayeh, I was just helping. It is interesting that Taisus presents a shaila. What happens Taisus presents a shaila. What happens if two people are carrying a table that each one of them could have carried it himself, but they're carrying it, let's say, with one finger? So Taisus and the Ramban say that it's considered zayin yochel v'zayin yochel, because using one finger, neither one could have done it himself. So the Sfasemis points out, according to Rashi, even that they should be a potter, because it's unusual to carry a heavy table out by two people, each one using a finger. I mean, one person should have carried it out himself using his two hands. So therefore, according to Rashi, in that case it would still be potter. But according to Tosfos and the Ramban, they would agree with the svar of the Ritva. But the reason why Zani Yochel is Chayiv is because it couldn't have been done without you. And here where the two of them carried it, each one using a finger, with each one we could say it couldn't have been done without you. So the Gemara continues. What's the dispute between Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, and Reb Shimon? They're arguing about a certain pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'im nefesh achas techto b'shgoga mi'amoretz b'asoisa." If one person will sin b'shaygig, he's from the people and he does a malacha or does an aveira. Reb Shimon holds tlosa miyutik sivi. There are three miyutim here. Nefesh is singular, achas is singular, and b'asoisa is singular. So nefesh techto, if one person sins, he's chayiv. Achas techta, one person sins and not two, and basaisa techta, only when one person does the malach himself, not when two do it. So chad, one of these miyutim l'maut is ha'ikar v'zemaniach, is to exclude if one person does an akira and the other person does the hanocha. That's the most logical case to exclude because each one only did a half a malacha. So that you're potter. We don't say that since between the two of them they did the malacha, the two of them should be chayiv because each one only did half. Chad, says Rabbi Shimon, l'maute if each one could have done it himself, so now we exclude that also. You're also not chayiv midaraisa, and v'chad l'mutei ze'ena yachol v'ze'ena yachol. One is to exclude, even if each one couldn't have done it himself. According to Reb Shimon, you're still potter, even though it took two of them to do it. But still, the Torah says ba'asaisa only if one does a malacha completely, not if it's done by two, even though they couldn't have each done it themselves. Rabbi Yehuda holds that chad, one miyut is lamute to exclude zayikar v'zemaniach. If one does akir, one does hanocha, that of course you're potter. Chad lamute is zayachal v'zayachal. One pasuk is to exclude that if each one could have done it himself, then let's look with Rashi's pshat. It's unusual to do it in tandem by two, so you're potter in that case. The chad, one is lamute yochid shasa v'eros bezdin. If an individual does an aveira, but bezdin paskin that it's allowed, so he's also potter. But he has no, Rabbi Yehuda has no pasuk to pater, ze'ena yochel, ze'ena yochel. If Rabbi Yehuda holds that case, you're chayiv. Rabbi Shimon holds, yochid shaso beros bezdin, chayiv. Now, just a minute. This is Rashi's girsa, and some have a girsa, Rashi has a girsa, Rabbi Shimon latame. The only problem is that the Rishonim ask, in Hayrius, Rabbi Shimon clearly says that if bezdin paskins that aveir is muter, and somebody does it, he's really potter. Because it's an einus if bezdin paskin he could do it. So if they have a different gears in the Gemara, they have a gears yochid shasober as bezdin like tzarich kro. You don't need a pasuk to say that he's potter, because obviously he's potter. It's an einus. Rabbi Meir says miksiv. Does it say nefesh techta, achas techta, basaisa techta? Doesn't say techta for each of these singular words. In fact, nefesh achas is one phrase together. Therefore, he says there's only trei miyut ksivi, there's only two miyutim, there's nefesh achas, and there's basaisa. Chad, one miyut is lamut, is zayikar v'zemaniach. If one does the akira, the other does the hanocha, that's a very obvious case to say you're potter. Chad lamut yochid shaso beros bezdin. And one is to say that if an individual does a malacha, when bezdin paskin it was mutter, so he's also potter. But in all other cases of shnaim shasu, Reb Meir holds you're chayiv and 3 for 3. You're chayiv, called 2 for 2. You're chayiv even if it's ze'ena yochel v'ze'ena yochel. You're chayiv even if it's ze yochel v'ze yochel. In the beginning of the sugi, we said Amar Mar ze yochel v'ze'ena yochel. One could have done it himself. He's a strong guy. One person is weaker, couldn't have done it himself. Divra kol chayiv. Everyone says he is chayiv. Who's he? Which one is chayiv? Amar Rav Chizda, Zesh Yochel, the one that could have done it, because the malacha is attributed to him. Because he's Sheina Yochel Ma'ikavid, because the one who couldn't do it himself, what did he do? Amalei Rav Amnuna says, well, maybe the Messiah Badei, maybe the other guy helped, so maybe he should be chayiv for helping. Amalei said Messiah Mamish. If Mr. A could have done it himself without Mr. B, so Mr. B's contribution is not relevant, and therefore Mr. A is chayiv. He's considered the one who did it. Mr. B is potter. Amar Rav Zvid Mishmei Rav. Rav Zvid said in the name of Rav, Afanan Nami Tunina. We have a Mishnah that Messiah ain't by mamish. They're just supporting, but not really doing it, doesn't count. The Mishnah is in Zavim. Hoya, if a Zav was Yoshev sitting al gabi mita on a bed, va'arba talia is tachas ragli amita. Under each foot of the bed, there's a talis. So they're all tmeyas, they're all tamei. Because the bed can't stand on 3 legs, so therefore any 3 out of 4 legs is considered ze'ena yochel, couldn't stand. So if it's ze'ena yochel v'ze'ena yochel, the only way the bed could stand is only on 4 legs. So therefore, in this case, they're all considered integral, and therefore all 4 talisas under the 4 legs are all tamei midras, because it couldn't have been done without each of those legs. For Rabbi Shimon is matar because that's his shita. Rabbi Shimon holds that even ze'en yochel, if it's not done by one thing alone, then it's poter. In this case, it's tahor. However, haya roichev al gabi behema varba taliyas tachas ragle behemim. If he's sitting on an animal and there's 4 talisas under the 4 legs of the animal, to hayrois all 4 talisas are tar, because each leg can be considered only misayaya. Since an animal can stand on 3 legs, so therefore all 4 legs together are only misayaya. But each leg, even if you'll say it could stand on the other 3, but each one is a misayaya, lav. So would you not say mishum darminan misayayim b'mamish? That just supporting is meaningless, and therefore each of the 4 legs is considered doing it supporting, because it can stand on the other 3. So therefore, in the case of the bed cannot stand unless it's standing on all 4 legs. That's considered of ze'en yochel v'ze'en yochel. And therefore, all 4 are count, all 4 are midras. Mashenka by behema, since it can stand on 3 out of 4, therefore each leg in turn is considered only misayaya. So misayaya ain't b'mamish. Misayaya doesn't count. And all 4 legs of the animal are only being misayaya. Omer of Yudam Diskarta says, Loi l'meimelach misayeh yesh b'mamish. Maybe misayeh should count. So if it's zeh yochel v'ze'ena yochel, maybe the ena yochel should also be chayiv because he's misayeh. But v'shani yochel da'akra lo legamri. What he means to say is that the animal shifts its weight, and therefore it stands on 3, and therefore the 4th leg that it doesn't use is not even a misayeh. So maybe that's why each leg is tar, because each leg is considered a misayeh, which is very difficult to understand. The Chazon Ish asks, but if the animal shifts its weight, but then sometimes it shifts it one way, sometimes it shifts it the other way. But whichever way it shifts it, 3 out of the legs are actually holding the animal. So those 3 talisas are tamei. So therefore, even if it always shifted only one way and only used 3 legs and the other one did nothing, with machmas roiv they should be tamei. But it seems the Gemara asks a stronger kasha. But given the zimnin akraha, since the animal sometimes shifts towards one set of 3, a different set of 3, is lahavi kazav hamishapech. That's considered like a zav who's rolling around. And let me explain. Miloitinan, there's a Mishnah, zav shahaya mutal al chamisha safsalim or al chamisha pundois la'arkan is tmeim. If you have 5 benches that are all lined up, right, parallel to each other, or 5 long bags that are all parallel to each other, and a zav is lying on, let's say, one of them in the same direction as the length. So therefore they're all considered tmeim. But why? Because he can roll over to go sometimes on this one, sometimes on this one, sometimes on this one. So they're all tamei. L'rach ban ta'irim. But if the zav is lying perpendicular to the 5 benches, then since most of his weight is not on any one of the benches, then they're ta'irim. Why? Because none of them was really a midras to most of his body, because he's lying across all 5. But Yoshen, if he's sleeping, Safik Mishapech Aleim Tameim. But if he's sleeping, even if he's sleeping perpendicular to all 5 benches that are lengthwise and he's lying across them, they're all Tameim, because in his sleep he could have rolled over lengthwise and rolled over all of them. Is L'chayra, so L'chayra, there's a Safik which of the benches the Zav was on, therefore they're all Tameim. So here too, L'chayra, if we assume that the behemoth shifts its weight from side to side, then sometimes these 3 are tamei, sometimes these 3 are tamei, sometimes these 3 are tamei. Therefore, they should all be tamei. The talisas under all the legs should be tamei. Elav, rather, we say that the animal doesn't really shift. Therefore, it's not shifting around; it's standing on all 4. And since it could stand on 3, each one of the 4 is considered a mere misayeya, and misayeya ain't b'mamish. Just supporting is nothing, and each one of the 4 is considered merely a support. So I'm going to upload this first.